My guest today is Ben Milman, an IDF soldier who has dedicated his life to transforming trauma into strength. In the wake of October 7th and the heartbreaking events that followed, Ben started Rising Heroes, an organization that helps Israeli soldiers heal after their army service. He took his own startling experience and he recognized that after the physical battle ended, soldiers still struggled with their mental health. In response to this issue, Ben decided to help them recover and began leading therapeutic retreats designed to rebuild emotional resilience, giving these soldiers the tools they need to truly heal. In this conversation, we delved into Ben's story, the loss of his comrades, the unbearable weight of October 7th, and the sense of duty that drives him to help others rise. Guys, this was incredible. Let's get into it. Ben Milman, welcome to Impact.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So, first of all, I just want to thank you for the remarkable service you do. I mean, Rising Heroes has especially helped with the mental resilience of soldiers, which is often overlooked. And Rising Heroes actively combats that. So, first of all, just thank you for what you do.
It's our mandatory. It's, we need to win this war, and we need to make sure everybody are mentally prepared to go on. It doesn't matter how much time we need, and also with the fact that we need to bring them home safe. I will start it from the beginning. I say it's our mandatory to do that service. It's our mandatory to bring back everybody home physically, but also mentally. And as we build the mental resilience, also to make sure we process the experiences and preventing the trauma wave, the PTSD, the future potential ache to hit the people.
As an IDF soldier, you've helped people inside and outside the war. But how did your personal experience, like witnessing all this trauma, like shape you to create this entire new organization?
In October 7, I've been called to the hostages negotiation crisis unit as a psychologist, putting words in the mouth of a speaker in any case of a hostages scenario. We had a privilege to deal with Rachel from Ofakim, the lady scenario in Ofakim when she made the cookies for the terrorist, and we took decisions in the back office what to say over there and what decisions to make. And there were a lot of negotiation team over there, and we advised to the police what to say or what decisions to make. And you felt a lot of purpose or the fact that you're doing the right thing at that moment in a complete chaos. In the first 72 hours, and then in the following week, at any moment you would ask me, I said, well, I can't believe it happened. What's going on around me? And I supposed to be very knowledgeable about what's going on and what is our situation in the army. And I think that there was a huge chaos on October 7 at 7:30, or on October 7 at noon, let's say. We also had another mission, and is to bring back the trust, the most fundamental trust between the civilians and the army. And by me wearing uniform is also my mandatory. But before 2 hours earlier, I'm a civilian. And
Wow.
This fundamental contract been broken also against me. And now I'm representing the army in front of the civilian that I'm speaking with. And my responsibility is to build the trust again, starting in October 7. I'm sharing that because somewhere around 5 p.m. I been notified that 5 of my guys been killed in the Gaza envelope. And I'm not with them over there. I'm with another unit, thinking that I'm doing the right thing or exactly where I should be. Where it's all started, I felt privileged that I have purpose. My guys, some of them weren't being called on October 7th. Some of them are already training others. So when I have a role, I felt privileged. But this feeling that I'm not with them, and it's the first time we ever had casualties in the battlefield, is something that I really remember as a difficult moment, that I was really struggling. We lost 14 guys, the greatest people I ever met in my life. And I think that this idea of living in their light, continuing the legacy of these great people, is what personally made me anxious, more than motivated or big words, anxious not to do something or everything in order to make a better future for Israel. It's our mandatory. The guys that been killed are the same as me. There is no difference. They have their families, their kids, their hobbies. Daniel Alush, one of my best friends, been killed in the helicopter crash in Rafah. And he has 2 kids, he likes to surf. The last thing that he would think is that any scratch will come out of him. And it's just unbelievable that they are not here with us. So it's our fundamental mandatory to build Israel.
How do you explain what you do?
Rising Heroes' mission is to build the mental resilience of Israel. This is a very wide description of what we do. We're doing that by approaching reserve duty soldiers, people who fight together, and disconnect them from the war for 1 week of retreat, 1 week to 10 days of retreat with 2 clinical psychologists, with the understanding of this basic idea that as a soldier, you know that you first need to kill the enemy, then you treat wounded soldiers. This is over 1.5 years that we are in this story, and with this understanding, you understand that PTSD is something that develops, and you need to treat the wounded soldiers while you still keep fighting. And that's the reality of the reserve duty soldiers since January 2024. It cycles. War-life balance. It's a new term that developed that doesn't allow us to first finish the job and then process the army experiences. We need to do that alongside. And processing the army experiences is also next to building the mental resilience. So on the one hand, it will allow the guys to excel in the battlefield, and on the other hand, come home and function, and go back and function as a husband, as a father, go to work, and be able to adjust quickly with the right mental tools to go in and out, the battlefield, work, battlefield, home. And this is something that we need to address in order to make sure that even after the war is going to over, people will not stay at war, and they will adjust back and live their life.
So what specific ways, like you help them mentally prepare for the war after they come back, right?
On October 8th, we found hundreds of guys in the different units that were in an ASR mode. If there is one explanation that I can give here, is that PTSD is something that develops from ASR, acute stress response. This is usually the first 48 hours, that every symptom almost that you see is natural. It's our way of the brain to deal with so much data that he was exposed that is not usual. It's traumatized. And this is natural. This is our way to process the things. Then you can find a person experience ASD, acute stress disorder, which can last over a year, up to a year, from 48 hours to a year. And in this mode, every symptom that you see is natural, and you don't define a person as suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder at this moment. After a year, you can, if all the symptoms are there, you can define PTSD with a DSM and everything. We are over 1.5 years in this story.
Wow.
We are writing the future history of Am Yisrael. And this is something every soldier understands after October 7. The mission is very clear. But in terms of therapy, it's very challenging. And we are talking about such a wide audience, from the hostages, from the families, soldiers, and of course the reserve duty soldiers. So we need to address that very quickly. On October 8th, we found hundreds of soldiers with ASR, right? Because they were exposed to such an extreme visuals and graphic scenes all over, and so much death and trauma over the Gaza envelope, that people came back to their bases preparing for the war traumatized. So you need to understand that the fundamental position, that the position of a therapist is that we will have time to talk about it. We will have time to heal the wounds, to heal the visuals of what we saw. But the most fundamental position of a therapist is that now the trauma has gone and now we are safe. So let's talk about what happened that doesn't exist anymore, and it's just an anxiety that's inside you. We cannot promise that to anyone, because I cannot promise to the person who sits in front of me or other therapists that there wouldn't be a siren as they still speaking, or they wouldn't be called for entering to Gaza, and when they enter to Gaza that they wouldn't be called to enter to Lebanon like happened last summer. So we are in an ongoing war that is very extreme and very intense. So we understand that we need to process the experiences in a proper way, not to leave them, and also to build a mental resilience so the soldiers can come with the right mental tools and function and excel in the battlefield.
Wow, it's crazy because your nonprofit has to adjust to the ongoing struggle with Gaza right now.
If those guys in reserve duty that's serving right now in Gaza, in Lebanon, preparing for any attack, Yemen, Iran, we all know what's going on in the past year and a half. If they would not be able to come back to work and to function and excel in civilian life as much as they do in the army, we won't have any country. So it's my generation responsibility, it's your generation responsibility to build the future of Israel. And they need the right tools. They don't need any more socks or vests or any equipment. We always say we need mental resilience. We need the right mental tools to keep going and finish the job and bring everybody's home. And we cannot stop before that. And we need the right mental tools to rise alongside the trauma. You know, everybody says it's a potential to rise, post-traumatic growth, which is true. But maybe the more realistic opportunity is to rise alongside the trauma. And I always give this example of our achievements in the north alongside the catastrophe in the south, where children were butchered in front of their parents, and we cannot hide from that. And there were blood in between girls' legs, young girls, and we cannot hide from that. This happened, and we need to process, and we need to look at it in the eyes. And alongside these facts, our achievement in the north happened as well. It's to rise alongside the trauma, or to enlighten the achievements alongside the failures. This is life. And what usually happens is that an individual that fights, the facts of what happened it's not important. What stays with him is his interpretation of what he experienced.
Wow.
So if he experienced failure because his friend died, he will live with guilt and self-criticism and so many emotions that bריאות הנפש in our mind are with him that you wouldn't even guess. And this opportunity to take them for the first time after so long and share with each other is as strong as sharing in Shabbat dinner with your family your experience anywhere. It's very important to process it, and we don't have this opportunity in the army.
This video is sponsored by the Mars I Franco Cancer Center for their annual Table Set Go event. Join us on July 22nd at the home of Kim and John Kushner to support the many families in our community who are facing the challenges of cancer. Come by and experience themed tablescapes, enter their beautiful Chinese auction, and hear a powerful panel discussion as members of the Cancer Center share their stories of courage, hope, and healing. Your support directly funds critical services that ease the burden for so many in our community during their most difficult times. A couple of months back, when I interviewed Nancy Sutton, founder of the Cancer Center, you could hear her passion for her organization coming through. For more information about the event, check out their Instagram page, @Morris-Franco Cancer Center, and visit the link in their bio. Back to the episode.
And most important than everything, I would share about the retreats more, is the cohesiveness of the team. Being together is the number one reason that any reservist come back to serve in reserve or go and run against shooting bullets. It's because his friends does it. And right after the service, right after the war, right after when the service is finished, those guys are completely transparent to the system. Each one of them goes to his life, and the core of the team is gone. We always say a stranger will never understand. This term is presenting the idea that I can look at you in your eyes and we know. We just understand what we've been through. And this is the safest feeling. But after, you're completely alone. You're in between the Bituach Leumi, the national security, or I don't know how to translate to English, into the system of the army. And you need a lot of power, a lot of energy to even apply for any service because something is wrong with you. It doesn't really work like that. Usually...
How does it work usually?
Usually, straightforward, a person would approach seeking help when usually it's too late because he's already experiencing symptoms. We want to avoid that. We know it's going to happen. It's our mandatory to build the right foundation, the infrastructure for any reservist to approach, to have mental resilience, to have the cohesiveness of the team, to have the ability to process the army experiences and the experiences they've been through, or any ache that he feels, any pressure or anything that he feels. This is what we're doing. The retreats has 5 goals. First, it's the first time that we allow these teams a break from the war. If you're going in and out, you really need the ability to have a break, be together. Every day in the retreat starts with yoga. We take them to beautiful places in the nature so they can be together and really build their the storage of energy again. The second is to process their army experiences. We talked about it, how important it is to build this narrative timeline. We will have time for therapy, but now as direct as possible, I would tell them, let's talk about the facts. Why? I don't need therapy. I don't need the circle of hugs. It doesn't matter. I want to give you an example that a person would share for the first time about his feelings, about how he was froze after being shot in the Gaza envelope fighting in October 7, and sharing with the team in the session that he was froze for 45 minutes and being a burden on the team. And when the guys hear it, his commander comes and says, what? What did you say? 45 minutes you were froze? Don't you remember how when it happened, I jumped to the room and I looked at you and we went to another room? How much time do you think it went? 45 minutes? Maybe 2 minutes. And I'll tell you more than this. If you would stand up by this time, you would risk the entire team. I would kill you. So they don't even try to make each other feel better. They just go over the facts. But this guy now feel a huge relief, and this will vaccinate it years after, that he will recall maybe in one of the experiences. Now he knows the facts. If he didn't know the facts, he could find himself in trouble versus those feelings of guilt and regret and a lot of unpleasant feelings that you experience trauma. This is very important. Mm-hmm. So we allow them this break and the processing of the experiences, which is so important. We also equip them with practical tools, such as how to excel in the battlefield, such as basketball player getting prepared for Game 7. They implement those techniques as well. We prepare them how to come back home, how to set expectations. What I'm going to see when I come back home? With my wife waiting for me? Or she's very angry that I'm not there. I got a text message from my wife, choose me or the reserve, choose. It's just too long. And there are kids, everything goes on. When this reservist comes back home, life goes on. Nobody waits. The coffee shops in Tel Aviv are full, the beach, the Jerusalem, everything works. This is what we fight for. It's great, but it's also very difficult. Until this guy is adjusting back in his life, career, everything that he experiencing, he needs to be called to another cycle in reserve.
Horrible.
Those are the practical tools.
So a soldier really needs this. They need the clarity, they need the mental resilience, and if not, they have families. And if they go to their families with this trauma, then it's not only affecting them, it's affecting their families, their friends, everyone really around them. So how are you helping the soldiers, their thousands of families, thousands of friends, all at once with your program?
Look, once you're creating a platform for a person to know first that he's not alone, second, that what he feels is natural and it doesn't make him crazy, weak, it's really strengthening the mental resilience. The most fundamental way, we make them help each other. By me correcting my friend about facts that happen, I'm helping my friend. And it's really nothing less but saving souls. This guy will come back home and maybe he doesn't need to share with his wife because she will never understand what he's been through. And we legitimize the platform and we actually allow it to share with his group of friends, group of people that he fight with, that they understand exactly what he's been through. And we create the platform for them. So it affects not just this closed cycle, it affects everything, because the next time a driver will cut him in the highway, he maybe won't get furious from 0 to 100 and attack him. He maybe will stop and be able to maybe think that it's connected to his experiences.
How so?
And maybe he should share. Because the reality is that how usually onset trauma happens, you experience your trauma, you put it in the different drawers on your brain, and you keep going with your life. But those information, those drawers are still there. And if with the right trigger, something comes up, and they will never connect it to their experiences. They will just act and they will blame the driver, they will blame their wife, they will blame everybody, but connected to the experiences. And when they will be able to come up with this idea that it's somehow connected, an approach to seek for help regarding this, Ministry of Defense, all the process, it's usually too late after you pay such a big price. So we raise the awareness even for themselves, to know that, we are not normal. None of us. But there is no expectation to be normal. I want to create the idea or the reality that we will rise from this. We will not better, we will be better.
Rising heroes.
We are not the same, we will be even better. This is our mandatory to create this new future. Whether if we want and whether if we don't want. We need to build a new country here. So by educating with the psychoeducation, with the creation of variety of tools, collaborations with all the organizations that there are so many that seeking to help in the mental health field, that it's so important.
So you have worked with people who have seen war up close. You've seen war up close. They have seen their friends die. They have probably looked death in the eye once. So how do you stay hopeful after witnessing so much trauma around you?
I think that secondary trauma, by hearing so many experiences and thinking inside myself, who am I? I'm a therapist, I'm a combat soldier, I'm a hostages negotiator, causes me distress much more than the trauma itself. This is me. And the guys that I lost, and the question, why they went and I wasn't there, or if I should do more, if I could do more, what have I done in this war? It's just a cycle of thoughts that it doesn't matter what have you done, you would always feel that you didn't do enough. And Itzhak Hoffman, Zechrono Livracha, would always say, be on the position that you're most effective. And I think that this is the position that I'm most effective. I think having a purpose, this is a very important point, is very important. It really helps me, and it's really my life mission to create better future for Am Yisrael and the people who fight for us. Then I'm sure, because we've done it so many times, that the opportunity that never be back, that we take them, we save souls. We really save souls by changing the narrative of how they will get out from this war. And it's so important. Because if there is one guy that will approach therapy, will talk differently to his wife, to his society, to his community, sharing in a different way what he is experiencing, we've done the whole world. Because this is a thing that doesn't happen usually. This is my purpose at this time. And it's very clear. And you can look at other communities, hostages that comes back, that they're functioning, fighting for the other hostages until everybody will be home. And it keeps you. It keeps you functioning. It keeps your mind. It keeps your entire purpose. So Viktor Frankl said it much before us, right? The person who's sick for purpose. He wrote about the Holocaust experiences.
Yeah.
How when you have a why, you can go through any how.
Wow, I just read that book. It's
very important.
It's needed. It's needed to have a purpose. So someone doesn't have rising heroes to help them. How can someone in their own life try to help them relieve their trauma?
Every time this amazing community comes to Israel to give chizuk to a soldier, I always say, those people that you come and visit, they don't know that you even guys exist. If you visited Israel, if you met a soldier, you've probably been told once, what are you doing here? Why? Or a soldier thanking you for coming, which is true. And I would like to thank you for all the support of Israel and our IDF soldiers. It really matters. Each one of us has his own mission. And this really, really matters.
Thank you, Ben, for joining me today on Impact. It was great having you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, and Am Yisrael Chai.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to the end. There are some unbelievable moments in this episode. Here are 3 takeaways that stand out to me. Number 1, you're not alone. More people understand and want to help than you think. As Ben reminded us, you're not special, and that's a good thing. The struggles you face, someone else has felt them too. Your experiences are universal, meaning that you're never alone. Ben has had hundreds of soldiers believing that no one can help them, but once they sat in a room with their comrades and shared their stories, they realized that others had felt the same fears, guilt, and pain. That connection helped them realize that they have others that they can rely on. Number 2, when you're looking to help, find your purpose that drives you. Ben didn't create Rising Heroes because it was convenient. He built it because he had to. After losing 14 friends from his unit and witnessing trauma firsthand, his purpose became clear: to build the mental resilience of soldiers. That purpose is what gave the organization life. So if you want to help others, don't just look for a cause. Find one that moves you, one you're willing to commit to when it's hard. That passion is what turns ideas into impact. And finally, number 3, take advantage of the opportunity. Rising Heroes exists because Ben acted at the right moment. After October 7th, when soldiers were returning from war with trauma and nowhere to process it, he recognized the need and he moved. If he hadn't, the organization might have never happened. And today, thousands of soldiers might not have had the mental strength they do now. When the opportunity comes, don't wait. Step into it, because you never know how many lives you'll change. And look where that got him. Hundreds of soldiers supported and their families uplifted, and a ripple effect of healing that has allowed them to rebuild their lives as true rising heroes. Guys, I'm still in the beginning stage of this podcast, and I would really love your help. So please drop any comments, any critiques, anything that can help me improve. So if you have anything, comment it down below, DM me, let me know. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Impact by Momentum. Until next time.